Hey guys, today I wanted to compare and contrast a situation in Dota 2 with the equivalent situation in Heroes of the Storm to maybe give some perspective to some players who are either looking for another MOBA or looking for another scene to get into. There's a variety of problems with Heroes of the Storm at the moment. The lack of patches doesn't help, it kind of exacerbates that, but I don't think that's a real core issue. The core issue is the top end of the player base is gone, so there's kind of nowhere to go once you hit that ceiling. Dota 2 doesn't have that issue, so I've kind of popped over there to see what's going on. And I'm quite enjoying my time with it. So in this situation, I'm playing position 3 as a tank. It's effectively the tank position in Heroes of the Storm is what I'm doing in this game. And there's only really two things you need to understand the rest of this video. Firstly, we just took an objective. Objectives in Dota are a bit different from in HOTS, but in this case, the objective is basically a Diablo, Souls, or a Malthael respawn on my position 1, who's basically my hard carry. So instead of Infernal Shrine's Punisher pushing down the enemy towers, you have a resurrection for your most powerful hero, who is asymmetrically balanced compared to the rest of the game. So in Heroes of the Storm, 5 heroes are pretty much equal in power. In Dota 2, heroes vary in power spikes and how powerful they are at any given stage of the game, but basically you can consider this hero to be worth around 3 heroes, and maybe this and this hero to currently be worth like maybe 0.75 of a hero, right? Because these two heroes are very strong early and then they fall off a cliff, whereas this hero fucking sucks at level 1 and is really, really powerful now. And for me, I'm kind of like medium everywhere, right? So that's basically the first thing you need to understand in order to understand the rest of this video. And the second thing is that there's verticality. So there is a height difference. So basically it's a bush, right? If you're not in the bush, you can't see shit on either side. If you're on the high ground, you can see everything. So if you're in the bush, you can see everything. If you're on the low ground, you can't see shit. So if you're outside the bush, you can't see past it. And that's basically the situation I'm in right now. I'm attempting to attack the enemy base and attack their high ground. This is an extremely difficult thing to do, and the vast majority of throws in the late game occur in this exact region. We are dominating this game with a 20,000 gold lead, which you can think of as being level 20 to the enemy level 16, basically. But that doesn't change the fact that this is where the throws happen, and if the enemy is going to stage a comeback, this is the exact time they're going to do it, because their equivalent to this guy over here, the Phantom Lancer, is very powerful right now. He is extremely powerful at level 25. He can quite easily destroy my entire team if we play incorrectly. So we're going to do a couple of things here in order to set up for this engage. Firstly, just like in HOTS, I'm acting as a sentient ward. They do actually have wards in this game, but we're not going to worry about those because those don't apply to this situation. I'm the ward. Secondly, I'm going to do a couple of different things here. I'm going to bait the enemy team by showing myself and then walking backwards. A fantastic thing to do even in HOTS is walk forward and walk backwards. The enemy will feel compelled to occupy your space. It's a psychology thing, but it works in video games for a variety of reasons most of the time, unless they're actively thinking about not getting fucked by you. And then the next thing you need to focus on is I have a CC. It's basically an AoE stun. I pick a guy up and I slam him into the ground repeatedly while roaring, which is fucking awesome. But importantly, it stuns everything around you as well as the guy you're holding. So it releases like pulses of stun. And then there's one more itty-bitty element that you need to pay attention to, and I promise this is the last slightly confusing detail that isn't really HOTS related. I have an item called a BKB, a Black King Bar, and basically what this does is it gives me crowd control immunity. So basically while this is on, I can't be CC'd. There are a couple exceptions to that, but don't worry about them. So I need to find the enemy team, I want to stun them, and I want to prevent them from going on my backline. Now, just like in HOTS, I have the follow-up problem of my team is extremely far away from me, and they are lagging behind. This is kind of really bad in Dota. I think if you're coming from HOTS to Dota, you will be better at team fighting than like Dota players who are like the equivalent of like Diamond and Master and Grandmaster. Like you will be as good at team fighting as them because that's all you do in HOTS. So your team fight IQ is going to be really high. Your last hitting IQ is going to be 0, and your map knowledge is going to be 0. So those are the two areas where you really have to work on. But once you figure out the hero kits and the items and stuff, you're going to dominate team fights because it's just so fucking easy to translate from a HOTS fight to a Dota fight because Dota fights are so simple and they don't have healing. Not having healing, well, they have some healing, but it's minuscule. Right, so the basic thing to understand in this game is I want to bait the enemy forward. So what I do is I walk up onto the high ground, and I get a second of vision. So there's 1 second of vision. Remember, I knew this guy was mid, so he can't just like fucking destroy me right now. And I had an idea that this Venomancer was elsewhere because like 15 seconds ago, I saw him way over here or something like that. I don't recall the exact specifics, but he was far away. So I know at the most they could have 3 heroes hypothetically right here ready to destroy me, but the chance of that is minuscule. So I go up onto the high ground, I check, I don't see anything, I back up. All right, so we want to do a couple of different things here. Firstly, I wanted this wave to go onto the enemy high ground and give me vision, but that's not going to work for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's 3 seconds from the next minute. So just like in HOTS, at 0, 0, and 30, a wave spawns. Except, unlike in HOTS, there's no weird delay as the game goes on. So at 0, 0, the wave is going to spawn, and it's going to freeze my wave down here. And secondly, the Venomancer just put down a little pew-pew, and that pew-pew is basically going to block my wave from going up on the high ground. So my wave is now useless. Secondly, the Phantom Lancer has disappeared from the middle lane. That's the enemy hyper carry. I don't know where he is anymore, which means my window to attack is extremely short and just closed. So despite the fact that my 2 supports are in fucking Africa and that my 2 DPSs are lagging a little bit behind me, I need to engage right now if I want to take advantage of this window where the enemy team is still disoriented and hasn't set up their defense successfully. Because again, if they set up their defense perfectly, there's honestly no practical way for us to assail this position without throwing away a lot of advantage. Just like in Heroes of the Storm, when you are entering the enemy base basically and you're on the gate and they have the 2 small walls still up, when you go through the gate after destroying it, you are extremely vulnerable because the small walls on either side, they force you into a funnel. And that's where the mosh pit happens, right? That's where the fucking 5-man death apocalypse occurs. So in order for me to counteract that, I want to engage really aggressively, get vision, CC something, and then I just want to run away and pray to God that I survive. So in this situation, I sprint in. Okay, so I see the enemy team. I see 2 members of the enemy team. I can see a teleport going on here. In the heat of the moment, I couldn't see the teleport. My vision was like here, and I saw none of this. So I had no idea this was going on. But I see 2 enemy heroes, and I have a way to protect myself from CC while stunning them. So I do that. So I'm golden, which means my Black King bar has taken effect and is working. And now I'm going to start stunning things. So I pick up the nearest guy to me and I start slamming him into the ground. At this point, my objective is completed. All I wanted to do was engage in a fashion where we have the advantage, because proactivity in MOBAs is the fucking key to winning them. And secondly, I wanted a situation where I was giving vision to the rest of my team so that they could follow up effectively without them having to go up the high ground themselves and potentially just explode. And I didn't want my position 1 to go up the high ground and immediately get bursted and then waste our objective, which is the resurrection, which is effectively like, you know, you're on Infernal Shrines and you have a Punisher pushing and then none of your team goes to the Punisher. It pushes by itself and dies, and your team's like doing mercenaries or something. That's effectively what my team wanted to do, by the way. And then I pinged them 30 fucking times and told them like, just push. Which I've been having to do all fucking game, by the way. It's miserable down here in gold or wherever the hell I am right now, climbing slowly. But basically my objective is complete at this point, right? I'm grabbing this guy, I'm stunning him. And this is my damage, and he just exploded that guy and half exploded this guy. And a lot of pretty colors are occurring on screen right now, but basically 2 of them are now dead. And I've achieved my goal. My goal was basically to get an engage. That's occurred. I've used all of my abilities. I've got nothing left in the tank at this point besides a runaway button. And that's the length of this video. If you guys are interested in trying Dota, I can give you 1 session for free for kind of learning the basics and getting an introduction. If you find a hero you click with, like I found Primal Beast and Axe and Centaur, if you find heroes you click with, it's really easy to learn this game. It's not nearly as hard as people make it out to be. Last hitting is not difficult. There's literally 1 map instead of like 30. And for the most part, the game is a lot slower paced. That's the major downside, is matches tend to be quite lengthy, like twice or thrice the length of a HOTS match. So in HOTS and Grandmaster and in Pro Play by extension, games should be about 15 minutes, maybe 20. In Dota, it's almost twice that. So a game should be 30 minutes, but will often go to 40. If your team fucking sucks, it'll go to an hour. Just like in HOTS, it'll go to like 25 minutes. Again, if both teams are just throwing out of their minds, that will occur. But it's the exception. And the higher you go in MMR, the quicker the games get, because teams recognize when they can just, hey, end instead of fucking doing mercenaries. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it informative, found it useful. I would say like, comment, and subscribe, but like, this is going to be a private video. No one else is going to see it. For the handful of you who stayed to the end, thank you very much, and take care. Bye, guys.